think it's time to go.
Hills and hollers of southern Indiana to the Lone Star State of Texas. We are the hunters of the paranormal. Truth seekers, mount up.
Howdy, Truth Seekers. We're back again. We have another excellent guest with us. We have Heidi Holis, and she has a very extensive resume of paranormal research and experiences. And I'll let her kind of give a little brief bio if she'd like to, and we're going to go from there. We're going to talk about the Hat Man and some other topics, and we're just looking forward to having a good show here. So without further ado, how you doing, Heidi Holis?
I'm doing pretty good. How about yourself?
Doing good. It's awful windy here today. We almost got blowed away. I've been trying to put siding on my mom's house, and the wind blew the ladder off the house, so it's a little scary out there right now.
Yeah, I'd say. Goodness, that's crazy.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. It's finally getting decent where I'm at. I'm visiting in the Midwest, so.
Are you really? That's where I'm at. I'm in the Midwest. I'm in Indiana here. David's from Texas. He's not in our chat room yet, but he should be in here briefly. Awesome. So you're on Coast to Coast AM. You're like a radio personality on Coast to Coast AM? Is that...
Well, yeah, so Coast to Coast AM has launched a new network, podcast network, and mine is one of 3 shows there. My show is called Dark Becomes Light. I've been a regular on Coast to Coast for over 20 years now, and I got asked to join them and went through the audition and all, and so I've been hosting, though, talk radio for years, so this was perfect.
Did you go to school for broadcasting or anything like that?
No, I'm actually an occupational therapist with a specialty in behavioral health. So,
oh, wow.
And I'm a cartoonist as well. And, of course, I write books and have hosted shows. And, it's been fun.
I've had to work in a behavioral health unit before. I work in a labor and delivery unit, and I help deliver babies. And we deal with behavioral health all the time. So I know a little bit about that.
Yeah, nice.
You know, when I worked up in behavioral health, some of those people, they were talking about hearing voices in their head and seeing things, and I sometimes believed that they were seeing what they were seeing. Maybe the brain, part of the brain that we aren't accessing, they're maybe accessing, because I know that some of them have had brain damage or things.
Right.
So they say,
I think the verdict is kind of out. It's like to know for sure if that is. If mental illness is a spiritual attack. I mean, how would we know? Medications do help. However, therapy does help. So it's kind of an interesting enemy we're up against to not be able to tell the difference sometimes.
And that reminds me, when I was in behavioral health, I was hearing a few of them talking about demons, like seeing demons and different things and it could be, they say we only use 10% of our brain,
right?
And maybe whatever the chemical, they've got chemicals going on in their brain is causing their brain to fire in a way that they may be actually seeing into it and hearing into another dimension. So anything's possible.
Yeah, honestly, it's I mean, I'll say that it's biblical that people have been resembling a possession or mental illness, and Jesus was able to send these things out. So what are we actually dealing with? It's kind of a peculiar thing.
One time I had to help hold this guy down, and I bet he didn't weigh probably maybe 100 pounds soaking wet, and it took 5 of us to get him under control.
Wow.
And he was, oh my God, and you could see it in his eyes. It was like he was possessed, and he was talking so foul to his mother. It was just unbelievable. And I was like, this is possession right here. This is the closest to possession I have ever seen.
Wow. Yeah. Sometimes I wonder, and I have had patients that have looked me up as I'm treating them. They're like, shadow people. you know exactly what I'm seeing. So it's like,
Uh
are
huh.
some of these people just more susceptible to it? Again, it's one of those things that you wonder. And did it just overwhelm them? They couldn't handle it. There's so many different things to consider.
Absolutely. Are you the originator of the shadow people and the Hat Man? Did you coin the
Yes,
phrase? So
I did.
you came up. Wow, wow, you're a legend. That's awesome, man.
Yeah. Oh, thank
Cool.
you. Yeah, it wasn't easy, and it's I wrote the book in '97 about these things, and it wasn't until it took me 4 years to get it published, though I had circulated the book before it was published to people who were like Art Bell and a lot of big names out there in the field, and it's like I think there were whispers of it prior to the book being published, but definitely it was something I'd never heard of prior, and started talking about it, and now it's put the definitions of them, and actually now have trademarked shadow people and Hatman phenomena. So because people were absolutely abusing the topics, and I don't have a film of my own out there. I don't have a TV show of my own out there. Everybody's just done what they wanted with it, and it's caused harm, because some of these people have gotten back to me like, "Oh, your show, that's not what you said in your book. Like, why did you have that show?" I'm like, "What show are you speaking of? I don't have a show out there, and it was really kind of sad and disheartening that things like that happen. But trying to get this better under control, because it took as a college kid talking about this stuff, and pretty much being poo-pooed, like, what's this little girl talking about? She doesn't know. What, that's like a science fiction thing, and I wouldn't stop. I wouldn't stop, and I would hop in my van, push my friends in it, and we'd go cross country and stop at a UFO conference. And I was never invited to speak. My little self-published book and me, we would get a table, and when it was open mic time, I would take the opportunity to speak about this stuff. And it was brutal, it was a lot of work. And yeah, and then I got on Coast, and that first night, thousands of people wrote me, and it's never stopped. So it's been amazing.
Do you think that this Hat Man phenomenon and the shadow people? Do you think that there is a tie with that and alien abduction?
Yeah, I've always spoke of it from that angle. I think that was the part that made people first leery of me speaking on, talking about the alien abduction phenomena being connected with the shadow people and Hatman phenomena. It's like people have it in their minds, ghostly stuff is ghosts, that's paranormal. UFOs are aliens. That's it. There's actually a connection, and there's an influence that's there. People always wonder, what is this connection between the different types of alien beings, like the Greys, the reptilians, any abusive being that's ever caused harm on a person. The
Mm-hmm.
link are shadow people and this Hat Man.
Um, have you heard of a? I come across this article the other day. It was about a suit. It's a quantum suit and a quantum cloaking material, and the name of it is called a HD2B quantum suit. And it says that it's a hyperdimensional 2B quantum suit used by militaries and quantum cloaking, and it has quantum cloaking material. And it says some shadow people are actually people using these suits. I could see some of that being that, but I think there's also a paranormal aspect to it.
Oh, that's news to me. I know that there are a lot of things out there that the military has created that they do not let us know about, and
Yes.
are able to definitely wreak havoc in people's lives, make them think they're seeing things, whether purposely or by mistake. It's cruel to leave us in the dark. We paid for that technology. Why on earth that's not national security. You guys are parading around in people's homes, making them feel like, they're inferior.
Mm-hmm.
I don't appreciate a lot of the abuses that our military and government have done.
No, I don't either. I saw a video where it looked like a U.S. soldier materialized, jumped up on a tank, and took off. It was in Iraq, I believe, is where it was
Mm,
at, and they said that that was some kind of stealth suit.
wow, that's
But
crazy. I wouldn't be surprised. My dad was pretty high ranking military, and he's like, let me tell you, he's like, any level of technology that the government will let you see. He said you can rest assured the minimum age of it is at least 20 years old. He's like, we got leaps and bounds beyond what they're putting out there.
And
So,
that's just what we're allowed to see.
yeah,
The public is
exactly.
allowed to see.
Yeah.
These Hatman experiences, is there like sleep paralysis associated with them?
I don't like the word sleep paralysis. That only
Okay.
got put out there into the paranormal world because I had such a huge response of people saying they're experiencing these things, and then somebody thought they would try to get smart and say, "Oh, it's sleep paralysis." No,
Right.
the heck it isn't. It's not
Like
sleep
they
paralysis.
associated that as in a
It
medical
is.
way
It
to
is not.
take
It is
away
not the
from.
case. It is not the case, and that's one of the detriments of people again pulling the work that I've done and trying to filter it in the way that they want to play it out. That is not what I'm talking about. Sleep paralysis. That's medical. That's shutting down of your system so you don't flail around if you're walking in your sleep or something. What I'm talking about are all these people, millions around the world, describing seeing the exact same things. Not something that's indistinct. No, they are seeing and experiencing the exact same things. People are seeing a shape of a person with a hat and a suit or a cape. Shadow people are less distinct but glowing red eyes, oftentimes growling, talking to them, very, very distinctive. And the way that people try to gather the troops to get behind a notion that don't worry, this is just medical, puts your soul at risk. So that's a
Hmm.
bunch of malarkey, like don't even try to
I
go there with this because there's no way. And they think, oh, well, perhaps because you put this out there, people think they're seeing it. No, almost on a weekly basis, I get an email from someone saying, I thought I was the only one. So it's not that widespread where people are, oh, you saw it too? Well, me too. Oh, me. We're just sharing those sleep paralysis experiences. No, the heck you aren't.
Hey, Heidi, thank you so much for clearing that up because
Yeah,
that just really opened my eyes to the way that they do wordplay,
they
and
do. They
and
do.
that's what our show is about is seeking the truth about these things and getting it out because I've had my experiences and David's had his, and we know that
Yeah.
there's countless others that's had it,
Yeah.
and how cruel is that
Very.
to say sleep paralysis when it's not. And
It's
you're
bogus.
exactly right.
It's bogus and it causes harm. And imagine that. People are like, oh, just take sleep medicine. Something is preying on your soul and trying to kill you. Great.
Yes.
Now you'll sleep through it. I mean, it's absolutely, it shakes my soul on it sometimes because it's like, wow, I can't believe somebody got their hands on that and twisted that one around because it has nothing to do with a sleep paralysis. Nothing.
The Shadow Man thing. I want to ask this for personal reasons.
Yeah.
Have I know that we're talking about the Hat Man, but then you
Yeah.
talked about the Shadow people.
They're
Um,
connected.
what I saw something at the window at 1:30 in the morning. It kicked on the security lights, and it was a black cloaked figure about, I'm going to guess 3.5, 4 foot tall, and it backed up off the window, and it was floating off the ground. And
Yeah.
I got such a good look at it. I was face to face with it. I got such a good look at it that I could see the ripples in the fabric. And you know how silk has a sheen to it.
Yes.
This had a sheen to it, but when it moved back off the window, it turned in a way that was almost mechanical, if that makes any sense.
Yes.
And as it shot across the yard, it started out kind of slow, and then it picked a speed up, and it got right to the edge of the wood line, and I watched it get sucked straight up in the air, just like it was caught up in a vacuum, like if you grabbed a piece of tissue paper and
Wow.
sucked it straight up. But 2 days later, I had I was paralyzed. I should say, not the sleep paralysis, but I was paralyzed. I couldn't move. My
Mhm.
only thing I could move was my eyes, and I looked over to the left of side of the bed, and I could see this same figure standing on the side of the bed. Like I don't know what it was trying to do to me or
Yeah.
anything, but does that sound similar to a shadow
No.
person?
No.
Okay.
Believe it or not, that one gets confused oftentimes with shadow beings. That is an alien being. And again, but they are connected to shadow beings as well. But when you say 3.5 feet tall, that's alien, and they wear
Mm.
the hoods. I don't know if you saw the skin of that one, but they're usually like blue, and they have perfectly round red eyes or black eyes.
I didn't get to see the skin. I didn't get to see
Yeah.
hands or feet or anything. It was
Hmm.
all inside the cloaked material.
Yeah.
And when I say cloaked, sometimes people think cloaked as in like the alien predator cloak thing, but it's I'm talking about like a little monk, like a
Yeah.
little monk's cloak is what it looked like. But I couldn't see the
Yeah.
face in it. I didn't see the eyes or nothing. I couldn't see any facial features.
Yeah.
But I've also had UFO experience. I've got pictures of a UFO, and then I
Hmm.
tried to communicate with them, and then I actually got an answer about a week or two later. They came down
Wow.
out of the clouds, and I got a telepathic message that said we're not coming back. So I, because I was mad. I was mad at them when I saw them because I thought, here you've got all this technology and you're not coming down here and helping us, And I thought,
Yeah.
I said, if you're not here for the greater good of mankind, then you need to leave and not come back. And then when I got my answer 2 weeks later, we're not coming back.
Oh,
So,
good. Yeah,
so,
sometimes when you put your foot down like that, it's nothing they want to deal with. There's much
hmm
easier prey out there. Yeah. So,
can you share a Hatman experience that maybe you've had, or if you feel comfortable doing that?
yeah. So for myself, as strange as it sounds, I was dealing with a lot of shadow people for a very long time, and I didn't directly have a Hatman experience until I was writing the book that was exclusively dedicated to him. And it's the Hat Man had appeared in my place where I lived. He attacked friends, family. I mean, he went after everybody but me before this time. And oddly enough, you know, this is a disturbing one because it's like I was just about to put that book out, and I'm a therapist. I practice alongside a physical therapist, and I would bounce all over the city of Chicago working, and I had a place that I went to. There, the patients were practicing walking in the parallel bars, and a couple of the PTs asked me, oh, you're that therapist that writes books. What do you write books about? And I briefly told them for about 10 minutes what I did, and everybody had left except for one therapist and one patient. And this is like 10 minutes after I told them about what took place when I hear the therapist is screaming for me to come out there. And I go over there, and long story short, the patient is pointing at, there's mirrors that surround the parallel bars where he was standing and practicing to walk. And he goes, "Who is that man in the mirror trying to talk to me in a different language?" And I said, "Oh, great." And I said, "Sir, is he wearing a hat?" And he's like, "Yes, he's wearing a hat. I know you could see him. He's right behind you." And I was like, "Oh my gosh." And he described definitely like all black suit, black hat. And the patient was like, "Stop pretending like I'm crazy. How can you not see him?" And he's like, "You know what? Get me out of here. Get me out of here. You guys are going to sit here and play me for a fool like this." And it's so, it's disgusting that he can't get at me, so he even went after a patient. It's like there is nothing that there just seems to be no limit to what it is that he will do to gain access, and it's disgusting.
I had a patient do me almost the same exact way. I had to sit with a patient, and he kept saying, "Who's that standing behind you?" And then I'd like turn and look, and he'd say, "Man, that guy's fast."
Oh, wow.
And
Hmm.
his bed started moving on its own. You know how like they have the beds that are
Yeah. Jumping.
electronic, or yeah, and it
Uh-huh.
started the bed started moving on its own, and he'd say, "Well, there he is, there he goes," and
Wow.
it was really creepy, really, and it was in
Yeah.
an old
Yeah.
part of the facility where we worked at,
Well,
and
that's crazy. The only couple of times that he directly came at me, again, it was after I had it was in the process of putting that first book out, and one was like 2 weeks, I believe, after I published the book, that what was kind of story to tell you, but that book out now. He came at me in my bedroom. He came after my patient twice in a row, back to back, day after day, right?
mm-hmm.
And then this is so nuts. I put the book out 2 weeks later, You know the little girls that attacked the other little girl, said Slender Man told them to do it?
Yes.
Okay, so the brief story about that, they're 12-year-olds, two 12-year-olds. One convinced the other one to go and stab their best friend because Slender Man said to. And the one little girl was easily convinced because she said, "What? I saw him when I was young." So she probably had Hat Man experiences, so she felt definitely Slender Man is real. And Slender Man is just a ripoff of Hat Man, the real deal. And I mean, it's the same mo. You know, he goes after
Mm-hmm.
kids a lot, and he wears a suit, and he's creepy. Okay, gotcha. He's really tall. So, anyways, 2 weeks after I published the book, those little girls attacked the one little girl that luckily survived about a 15-minute drive from my family's home.
Wow. 15-minute drive from your family's home. Wow.
Yes, where I grew up there. And I took that, I mean, because I had just had one after another. Here I've not experienced him directly myself. All these years, I'm putting the book out and I get all of these attacks from him. And then that. And that was just to let me know I feel, look what I can still do. I can still influence, even though you put this book out. He was not happy I put that out. He hates my guts. And I take it as a compliment. Feelings are mutual.
We had a question in the chat room,
Sure.
Heidi. Is it always just a man in a hat? Why a man with a hat? And he said, "I know
Yeah.
it's a reality, but why?" And he says, "Why a man with a hat? And what are they? Do you think they're demons, or do you think there's something else to them?"
He doesn't always wear a hat, and he doesn't always wear the same hat either. He changes it up. Sometimes it's a gaucho, sometimes it's a top hat. Yeah, sometimes he has pinstripes on his pants, or the cape he'll wear. Sometimes a cane, and he he could hide, right? He could go into the shadows where you can't see him so well, but he likes for people to get a good look. Shadow people, they don't like that so much. They will either rush you to make you look away or attack you, or rush out of the way. Hatman will step out from the shadow so you get a real good look at him, so you get this respectful fear because he feeds on it. They all feed on
They
it. I
feed
mean,
off that energy.
they
Yeah.
absolutely do. But now there's a difference with shadow people and Hatman. Shadow people growl usually or whisper, but you don't really make out what they're saying. Hatman has the most disgusting guttural voice that you can imagine, and he likes to talk. And if you ask him who he is, and if he's feeling especially perky, he'll tell you who he is. And he is essentially the devil himself. He will tell you. He will tell you. But you know what's really freaky? He has now been telling people he is Hat Man. He took the name I gave him. So
Oh,
talk about
he's
making your parents proud. You know, I named the devil. Oh my gosh.
wow. That
Yeah,
that that gives him a whole new dimension, doesn't it?
it sure does. Yeah, it sure
Wow.
does.
You know, the hat thing is that is just it's like it's his signature. You know, he's you said a gaucho and what other kind of hat? A fedora?
Oh, he's had fedoras. He's had cowboy hats. I mean top hats. And see, this is the thing, guys. This is he doesn't have to be seen, but he really wants us to know he's here, and he's telling people who he is. So what does this say to you, and what the times that we're in? Everybody's feeling like we're in these crazy end times, and there's a creature popping up around the world by the millions saying he's the devil. And one of his favorite pastime things is after he scares you within an inch of your life, he takes his fist and he punches it through your chest and starts tugging on your soul, laughing. And his laughter is disgusting. His teeth look like Pennywise from the movie It, and his smile goes ear to ear like the Joker. It's horrific, horrific. This is what we're dealing with, and he's not small. I think the shortest I've heard is about 6 foot, but I've heard 12, 14 feet. Comes into people's bedrooms. He's got to bend over. As the back of his back is touching the ceiling of your bedroom.
Oh Lord.
This is what we're dealing with. And I get these emails and it just tears my heart out. And then some Yahoo calls it sleep paralysis on these shows, and I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
just take a pill. Oh
Hey,
my God, it's terrible.
thanks for straightening us out on that, Heidi.
Yeah,
I'm that that they coined the term conspiracy theory when they don't want you to know what's really going on, and when you're getting
right.
too close to the truth, and it's
Yes,
on the same exact level.
yes.
Um,
It's horrific and it's dangerous talk. It really is.
yes, it is. When you had your Hat Man experience, the way to get rid of him, could you pray him away? Does that make any sense? Can you?
I'm
Does
not
that?
afraid. I'm not afraid to say I'm Christian, and yes, I sprinkle some Jesus on it.
I love it, Heidi. I love it.
I always say sprinkle some Jesus because it's like people are so quick to acknowledge the devil and evil, but they're ashamed to say that they have faith in God. And I'm like,
No.
I get so many atheists. I'm an atheist. I just saw the devil. Hold on, right there should tell me and tell you should have faith because you just acknowledged evil. You better realize that you're giving that thing so much more respect than what you're giving to God. And if you, I tell people honestly, if you don't have faith that there's something more powerful and positive that can kick that thing's butt, then you might
Yeah.
as well throw a shoe at it and just take your chances. You know?
is is there any instances where this thing has moved objects around the room or thrown things or been really destructive?
I'm sorry to laugh, but
That's
that's minimal. He's thrown trees in front of people so they crash.
oh my gosh.
Yes, he's thrown people around the room, around the neighborhood, beating them up,
Wow.
scratching, beating, raping men and women. It doesn't
Wow.
matter. He's horrible. He bites, he scratches, he kicks, he possesses, he destroys. He has caused people to attempt suicide. I haven't heard from the ones who did follow through. Attempt suicide, attempt to kill or harm somebody. I mean, we're dealing with the worst of the worst, and people ask me, was there more than one? I'm like, is there more than one Jesus or more than one God? He could be in a lot of places at once, and the sad part is he's creating an army and he is recruiting. Please don't sign up.
No. My our friend Antonio, he says I think he's looking for weak souls,
No,
and
no, no, no,
he's not. Hey, is he?
no. This is the interesting. So this is the patterns that a lot of people don't realize. Sure, yeah, there's people like realize, well, I was drinking at the time, or I was high, or whatever, and yeah, he'll realize your grip on your soul is a little bit looser, so he'll take advantage because he's a creep that way, and but he really likes to target and really works hard on people who are gifted, who have insight and sight to be able to see things around them, or has had one too many deja vus, or has a sensitivity. People that are more evolved in a sense, um, he goes after them. He notices that you notice, and he doesn't want that. He doesn't want that step in evolution to be happening. So he looks for those people. So if I get an email from somebody who tells me Hatman's been coming to my room every night for 40 years, I'm like, ooh, who are you? He is
Oh.
working hard. Like, okay, hold on, tell me about yourself. Like, oh, okay, I see. He does not want you out in the world. But the person that had one experience 40 years ago and they've been terrified their entire lives because of it, that just tells me that they've got the fear of the devil that came into their lives. But he took a good look at you and it wasn't something he wanted to pursue. It's okay, be happy he didn't come back. But people fear he will ever look their way again because one glance from him rattles their souls forever. It's so sad. I get so many of those. It's like I saw him once, I
Um,
can't sleep anymore with the lights off. I'm like, well,
Heidi,
yeah,
do you think these things? I got two questions. Do you think they feed off fear? And then second,
yeah.
my second question is, I wonder how far back these reports go. Do you have any idea? Is it like hundreds of years ago there was a Hat Man report, or is it more, or do you know?
It's interesting because I got this information not from myself on what these beings are, what they're doing, and why. So people ask me about historical record, and of course, this is biblical stuff. To say if he had a different suit on back in the day, I don't
Hmm.
know. I'm sure the presence has been documented in so many different beliefs, poems,
Right.
observations, stories passed down, and he might have shifted his look, but that presence is undeniable. And
Wow.
there's been a lot of people that have reached out to me to say, "Oh, I found this story. It looks like it might have been him." Evil is evil. Did he have a better
Yeah.
name? Yeah, it could have been, but Hatman suited this time. But what's important to know is like we should be able to close our eyes and to feel what's in front of us because they're up to they like to play tricks and you can't trust your eyes, you have to trust your gut on what it is that's before you. And yes, they do feed off from fear. This is how they
Yeah.
gain their
Exactly.
strength. But
Yes.
how can you not fear that this thing is horrific. And but one thing to know though too, when you think like wow, I'm so little, this thing is so huge, it's going to kill me. Think about this. This freak came in the middle of the night when your guard is down, when you're half asleep and not your full self, when you could barely speak or use the bathroom straight. Oh, what a big guy. Yo, you're so intimidating. It's like, I got him now. I got him paralyzed. Okay, now I'm going to get you. It tells you that we are something to be reckoned with. So have no doubts in who we are. A lot of people are lacking in the faith department. I did it as well at one point, but then I had encounters that changed everything. I mean, I had Jesus encounters, and I was a skeptic of such things, and so it changed my tune on a lot of stuff. But I'll tell you, what's that saying? It takes the size of a mustard seed of faith to move a mountain, and all you have to say is the name of Jesus, and he leaves. But there's a way to protect yourself so he doesn't come into your home as well. So
That's amazing. Jesus is very powerful, and
yes.
this is if you start to look into this cryptid stuff and having these experiences, you can see that it's as much a spiritual battle as it is anything else.
It is. That's why my first book is called The Secret War. The heavens speak of the battle. But then I changed the subtitle to be regarding the shadow people and alien war. Um, and a lot of people think, well, how'd you come up with this stuff? I'm like, I didn't. I didn't. I was in college and I had uh, alien encounters with my college roommate that explained all this stuff. It was mind blowing, mind boggling stuff.
Heidi, are you an empath? Or are you a psychic? Do you have psychic abilities?
I never placed myself as being that type of person. It's like I'm too common to be that. But I just thought I had a lot of bad luck in seeing these things. But people have told me, well, I would say I'm an empath for sure. But to say a psychic medium or something, it has to be something. But I don't know how to categorize it.
I
And
I
uh,
think we all have those abilities,
to an extent,
to an
yeah.
extent, yes. But and we don't know what to look for. Sometimes some people don't know what to look for or how to tap into it. I think, but I think I think it came with the, I think it
With
came
the
with the
suit.
equipment, but we didn't get the manual.
Yeah, it came with this Iron Man suit I got, it's crazy because I don't, I really something's in the family because my siblings also see stuff, but again, it's not something that I try to call upon. I'm always surprised, like, well, shoot, but the Jesus stuff. Now, I'll tell you, my highest acclaimed book is called Jesus is No Joke because I wrote about the 4 times he stopped by and he's come by since and I got healed and I wasn't looking for that. I was in college. I wasn't caring about going to church. I
Hmm.
still don't. I still am not a Bible thumper or anything like that. But the reality is, had he not, I think this Hat Man topic and all of this, there's no way I'd be able to handle this alone. No way.
Yeah.
Absolutely no. So I feel
Well,
protected in that sense. So
Hey,
It's so powerful.
Yeah.
we always say, Lee. Everything happens for a reason. There are no coincidences.
Right.
Yes.
Yes. And the story gets stranger, but people are like, why you? It's like, well, why not you? I'm
Um,
nobody special, but
the
you know.
when he Jesus appeared to you, was you able to see facial features or anything like that? Because I
No.
was wondering how similar he looks to what Akiana, the girl that painted the picture of Jesus, what, because
Oh, yeah.
I think her interpretation is probably more spot on than what the others that we see. That's the only reason I was asking.
Well, interesting enough, like the first time I'd seen him, his face, the light behind his head was so bright. His face was completely blacked out. But then there was an instance where I could see his mouth moving. I don't know how. I don't remember his face.
Wow.
Another instance, I was so close. I saw his brilliant, bright blue, like sky glowing blue eyes. But I knew, like, those eyes were not what he had here in this lifetime. But he had the off white robe, he had the shoulder length hair. He was a bit darker in skin tone than I've seen in paintings. But yeah, just the thing about him, people are like, how do you know it was him? And I'm like, I could have been blind and seen it was him because every cell in my body screamed, it's Jesus. It's just like, I was like, what? Here I'm a skeptic. I
Awesome.
wrote about my skepticism in my first book of people claiming to see Jesus. And I had to fix that before I published the book because he stopped by just before I put it out. It's crazy. It's just beautiful, though.
Were you filled with emotion when you saw him, Heidi? Did
Emotion is an understatement. There's no words. That it's the love that comes off from him is so immense. There's just every time I think about it, I kind of tear up and goosebumps because it's you can't replicate, and it's so he feels everything. He feels and he feels everything, and it's like to think that people question if he existed. It's just amazing, and I'm guilty for also downplaying his role. I thought he was like a historic figure that did his thing. He'll come back one day, but no, he is a lot more active in this world than people really know. And the last one of the last times I saw him, made it clear he was very anxious to return. Um, he was waiting on something to happen, but I don't feel like it's I don't have the answers. Nobody knows the day or the hour, right?
correct?
But man, there's a lot of things going on right now that lead me to feel that we're going to be in for quite a fight soon.
I agree. I totally agree. But as long as we have him, we don't have any worries, right?
Oh, he's fairly, yeah. Honestly, call on him, and he wants
Yes.
that. He wants that.
Oh yeah.
Honestly, and I see messages here in the chat room. Anybody that wants to reach out to me, feel free. I do answer my emails, and I also answer messages on Facebook or whatever, and HeidiHollis.com. Just write as much detail as you'd like, and if you want to come on my show, you're feel free.
Antonio, Heidi, the one that's in the chat room,
Hmm.
he is being tormented on a constant basis,
Oh,
and he has been. I'll let he'll tell you his story, but I tell you he's got some very fantastic things that's happened to him, and I
okay,
think he is very. He's a very important person
nice.
because they keep tormenting him and coming and getting him.
He's one heck of a prize, and those are the people I love to
Hmm.
like. Woo, what is going on? I'm like, take it as a compliment, and you know what? Humor really ticks them off, and it builds your confidence. So I love laughing in the face of these things because not to not to tempt them, not to swing at them, not to run from them, but just to show them. I have no doubts in where I stand and where my faith stands to be able to be okay in the
Uh,
face of these things, you know?
yeah, Antonio said, Heidi, he is waiting for more souls to join the fight. Antonio, that's what the whole spiritual battle is about, brother.
Yes.
the more we armor up, the more Satan is going to sharpen his tools, and that spiritual battle is real,
Yep.
24/7, 365
It,
around us.
it is.
You notice the more you pray, and you'll be like, man, why are these bad things happening?
Yep.
It's because Satan's trying to, he's mad. He's mad because you got that armor of God. So we have
Yeah.
to remember faith over fear,
True.
Antonio. And I
Yep.
get your comment. You are right. He is waiting for more souls to join the fight. You're right.
You
Oh,
know, our,
yeah.
our, our friend Antonio there, he's tried to tell his story on other shows and been ridiculed, but me and
Yeah,
David,
not here.
not on our
We,
show.
we don't. We don't. Yeah, we don't turn our backs on no one.
Yeah.
Who are we to judge others? And
Thank you. That's how I feel. I'm
Hmm.
the
yeah.
I'm the queen of weird. How dare I throw a stone?
Well, I
Oh, that
mean,
couldn't have happened, Antonio.
so many people are limited to just ghost, Sasquatch, and Dogman. That's it.
Yeah.
What else? Imagine what else is out there that there's so much stuff out there that we just don't know about, and I'm
Right.
open to everything.
Yeah. Oh, same here. And it's like, it's all connected. Placing these limits have only caused us to be slower in finding answers. And I had so much, not backlash, but people that would push back because they thought I should stay in my lane and the ghosts, or stay in my lane and the UFOs, or with the Jesus stuff. And I'm like, so I took my books and published them myself because I did. I couldn't stick keeping that because it was just too much was bumping in.
um,
And it's okay to believe in God and Jesus and also know aliens exist. I don't know who
would
made
you
that
would you
rule that
mind
we can't.
would you mind if I send you an invite to my Texas Dogman Project group,
Of course.
and
Please
then
do.
I want you to post your books on there
Okay, I'll do that. I
because
appreciate it.
the group around me is, I'm trying to keep a drama free group, just good,
Yeah.
good hearted people. I may only have like 150 members. That's okay.
Yeah,
And
that's fine.
but yeah, I'll send you an invite. That'll be cool.
And
Yeah.
Heidi, we're trying to bring everybody together in the cryptid community, the UFO community, and
Yeah.
it's a task and an undertaking, but
Yeah.
by not judging these people and giving them a platform to get their voices heard, I think it
Mhm.
makes all the difference in the world. And
Yeah.
when you look at this whole phenomenon, the whole paranormal phenomenon, it is all so interconnected that you can
Yes.
see, and that's probably part of the agenda that they've done is they have used tactics of divide and conquer so that
Yes.
keep everybody looking in different directions and saying oh no, and keeping the scuttle going
Yep.
amongst people.
Yes.
She
Right.
knows. She knows exactly what you're talking about.
Yes.
Yes. I know what you're speaking of for sure. And it's as a young lady going through, pretty much, guys are all into this and whatnot. And I'm also a shade off white, and and I would be going out with my myself and my friends, hopping in the van, going to these places to try to speak. I was kind of put off to the side, like, well, she can't have anything important to say, and it's like, what? Oh my gosh, and it's been a harder battle, um, just as a human being, like, no, really, this is important. Souls are at risk here. And it took a while for people to catch on, and then they took and twisted, and I'm like, oh no, this I put
Mm-hmm.
too many decades into this to make sure that this is done the right way.
Right, right.
And I also remember agreeing to be doing this in this lifetime, and that's another kicker.
Um,
So
that's
it's
another question. Like, were you? A lot of us have talked, and I'm like, I notice the similarities. The
yeah,
people that are drawn to this, and they
yeah.
can't explain it. Did you ever have that feeling when you were a child? You were just drawn to the unknown, the paranormal, what
Well,
have you?
I was raised in a haunted house, so I had
There
to
you
face
go.
it pretty
See,
early.
that was me. My
Well,
childhood
yeah,
home was haunted, and then
yeah,
I was like, wow, okay, there's something. There's
yeah.
something to these unsolved mystery shows, I'm watching, and they're real.
Yeah, yeah. So I
So,
had to own up to it. Like, I was the only one in the family that confronted the thing that was playing our organ madly. As everybody locked themselves in the bathroom, I'm
Oh, that's a
facing it.
creepy one. That's a
Yes,
creepy one.
but it got more interesting because in college, a lot of stuff happened in college. I guess it's your first getting out on your own and you're experiencing things. But I wasn't a drinker. I wasn't a partier. I was a good student. I'm a therapist. And it's like, uh, I, all at once, my memory came back while I'm standing in the middle of the living room talking to my roommate, and I remember what I had to do in this
I think we lost our guys. Can you hear me, Lee?
What an amazing guest! I think we lost. We lost her audio, and
Oh, I know we're over the 1 hour mark with her, and if
here
she
she's
co- if,
she's back. So
Can you hear me?
okay, cool.
we got you. Your signal dropped
Uh,
on us, and
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
she was talking about
Coming in this lifetime.
yeah,
yes,
you started to get into it, and then we just lost your signal for some
Oh,
reason, and it
oh,
was
that's
just going
okay.
in and out, going in and out.
Oh, yeah. No, I was saying that, I remember agreeing to be born to talk about helping people know there is a God, to get their faith back in such a thing. And I'm not talking about religion, I'm talking about faith. And,
Wow.
and also to know that there is something threatening mankind's evolution. And that's this dark force, that's this shadow people, that's this hat man. These are the names I gave it, but it is an older, much more deliberate and disgusting force than people can imagine.
it's like the opposite army. It's like the army of darkness instead of the army of light and
Yes.
love. Yes,
Yes. Yeah. Well, they're not human. They're not from this planet. So where are they from? Well, I
it's
don't know if that's important. What's important is what's going on today, and I know a lot of people like to draw from history, and I'm like, I hear you, but I wasn't sent here for that. I came here for today to say, watch out, do this, do that to protect yourselves, because there's a shift coming. That's another thing. There's a big time of change that's happening, and it's not destruction of the world, it's a change. It's not the end, it's a new beginning. And
I
it'll be
believe
okay.
that.
It'll
I
be
believe
okay.
that. Yes, I
It'll
believe that.
Yeah.
Um, well, Heidi, we're at the hour mark. I know you're a very busy person, and are you
Well,
wanting to conclude this or?
oh, we could chat a little bit longer. I know we got started late too, so
Okay.
yeah. No, it's fine. But what's on your mind?
What do you think about the Dogman
Mhm.
phenomenon?
Well,
And go
mhm.
ahead.
Well, when it comes to like Bigfoot, I don't think those are n- necessarily from here. They have associations with aliens and UFOs and whatnot, but I think they're getting cozy here. But when it comes to the dogmen, back in the day, I had a UFO paranormal discussion group for 15 years, and I got a lot of wild stories, and some of them were of shape shifting people, and I think they were quite aware that they weren't quite human, that they had these shape shifting abilities. And I'm talking about a granddaughter that was fearful of her grandfather, And one day he was sleeping on the couch having a nightmare, and he shifted right in front of her, scared her to
Wow.
death. And
Wow.
she was like, "Grandpa's
I've
not
heard,
human," you know. She's like,
I've
"What?"
heard of those weird ones too. That would just
Yeah. So I'm
that
thinking
would
that Dogman is kind of
that.
a different kind of human, you know.
That I sent you the episode we had with Roy Stubblefield and his experience with the dog man, and
Hmm.
why I was asking about the dog man was you know how you said the Hat Man feeds off of fear,
Yeah.
and this when he had his encounter, one of the guys that he was with, the thing was over top of him, looking him in the eye, and his hair turned white on the top,
Oh.
like a little patch of hair on him turned white. And I
Yeah.
often thought that somehow he was sucking some energy out of his body, and that could have caused the hair change, possibly. You know,
Yeah.
how they scare you. I
Yes.
don't.
That's happened to UFO alien abductees. It happened
No.
to my pet ferret. Uh,
Wow.
Lost its hair turned white on top of its head. It got a white streak. It was a cinnamon ferret, and it got white hair on, and its hair fell out, and then grew back white. Well, it was partly white and fell out there. Yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy. So,
Wow.
and that was a I don't know what kind of encounter that was. It seemed like time stood still, and it was just a confusing thing. I've had military abductions too, so I'm not sure what that was, but it scared my ferret so bad that her hair turned white and fell out.
Lee, you have to tell her about. I know the audience. You know, you say they get sick of it. You have to tell her about your grandfather's Venusians
Encounter
encounter.
with the
Yeah,
Venusian.
and
Oh,
what they and he got to go and what they said about Mars. Tell her that.
Um, my grandfather met a person that claimed he was from Venus. He asked
uh-huh.
my grandfather if he would be interested in going to Venus and living for 10 years, and my grandfather said he would, but he had young children and he had to take care of them, and he wasn't able to do it. But anyway, long story short, they asked him if he could go anywhere he wanted to go in the universe. Where would he like to go? And he said Mars. And they said, well, the guy said, if I can arrange it, would you like to go? And he said, absolutely. And so my grandfather takes him out in the country. They go into this like pasture and drive up in the edge of this woods. And on the inside of this woods was another field. And he said sitting in the middle of the field was a silver disc-shaped craft. And he said they got out, they boarded the craft. He said there were other people on board. They were supposed to have been Venusians, and they told him that he said that they looked exactly like us, and you wouldn't be able to tell the difference if you seen them walking down the street. But anyway, they told him they were going to take him to Mars, and that there was life there, and they were going to show him that there was life. And so he said they start taking off in the spacecraft, and he said he could see the Earth, the real pretty blue colored Earth, and he said it was just like the snap of a finger. He said it jumped there. That ship jumped from Earth to Mars in just a second, just a snap of a finger. And he
Wow.
said, and here they are coming down into the atmosphere of Mars. And so they land, and they tell him, they said, okay, we're going to get out and we're going to show you that there's life here. But they said, in no way, shape, or form are we to make contact. And so they get out and they walk around these boulders, like outcropping of boulders. And he said they're peeking around the side of the boulders, and they're showing him these creatures. And he said these creatures come up out of the ground. They lived underground, and they come up out of the ground. And I asked him, I said, what did they look like? And he said, what these creatures looked like, he said, is exactly what they described seeing Bigfoot. He said they were like 7 to 8 feet tall, and they were covered in hair, and they were humanoid looking.
Wow.
And so he got so excited, and he broke one of their rules where they weren't supposed to make contact, and he tried to make contact with one of those creatures, and he said it was like something zapped him or knocked him out. He came face to face with one of those creatures and was going to say, man, we're here. We're like, I'm from Earth. We're from another planet. It's nice to be here. Just so excited. And the next thing he knows is he's half on and half off the bed in his clothes, like somebody had just picked him up and threw him on his bed, and he's bouncing, still bouncing on the bed when he wakes up.
Wow.
And one of the part of the story that I didn't share was that this man had told my grandfather that he had never been with a woman before because they didn't do that on their planet. And so he asked my grandfather if he could hook him up with a woman. So he said yes. So my grandfather had took him to a brothel. I'll just say it, a brothel. And
Yeah.
he picked out a woman, went upstairs, was up there for maybe, I don't know, 5-10 minutes, come back down, and he said the woman had this puzzled look on her face and was just like shaking her head in disbelief. And so my grandfather goes back to work after he, was on the bed like that, and it's like this guy never existed. So my grandfather's thinking, am I going crazy here? Because he had spent a few weeks with this guy working the night shift. That's how he met him. He worked the night shift with my grandfather. And so he remembered that he had taken him to that place and met that woman. And so he went back to where that brothel was, and he found that woman, and he said, do you remember a few weeks ago or however long it was when I came in here and I was with a gentleman, and he picked you out and you went upstairs and you come back? And she said, yeah, I remember that. He says, do you mind if I ask you what happened? He said, because you had like a puzzled look on your face of like disbelief. And she said, what happened was when they got up in the room, he didn't want to do anything with her. Only thing that he wanted to do was just to interview her, like medical questions and stuff like that, like anatomy and why they do what they do and how they do it and this and that. And so he had a witness. But there's more to the story than I'm sharing here. I just tried to give you the quick version of it.
That's fascinating. You've got to come on my show to share that story.
I sure would.
We always love hearing that one when he shares that one. It's just amazing.
Yeah, definitely. I'd love to have you on my show talking about that, because it's important to put these types of stories out there because they are there. They exist.
And I'll tell you something interesting about that story is Dr. Frankie Strange's. I had never heard. I had heard that story when I was a little kid, I'd never asked my grandfather, but I ended up asking him when I was older. Like he told me the story 2 or 3 times, and the details never changed. I've even asked my mom, "Do you think he was telling the truth?" And my mom says, "Yeah, I believe what he said." My mom believed him. But anyway, there's things that Frankie Stranges have said about Valiant Thor. They were supposed to be from Venus, and Howard Menger.
Right.
There's things that those people have said that my grandfather had said that I had heard him say way before I even knew anything about Dr. Frankie Stranges or Howard Menger. So, and it was around. It would have been around the same time frame as Dr. Frankie Stranges. Wow. And I think I've heard that there were 77 Venusians that had came here at that time.
Oh, so, I believe it.
And they were in different areas, I take it. So.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, no, when I agreed to come here, it sounds so strange. It's so many things, but I was told that there were a few hundred of us that had come, but to do the same thing, do the same kind of work, but most of them were not wanting to follow through. They got involved in the life, and it just fell off the boat, I guess you could say. They're just like, wanting to live their lives and forgot what they came here for. But I don't, it sounds so strange, but let's just say I have a lot of strange anomalies that, medically speaking, I'm fine, but it's just different from other people. And it wasn't understood by my physicians. And I'm like, hold on, this is done on purpose. I've got all these very parallel things that are just so purposefully done. I'm like, oh, they did tell me they had to make adjustments, so I guess leave that alone. It's fine. It's like, yes.
Heidi, I have a question.
Yeah.
Do you think the black-eyed kids are somewhat related to the Hat Man phenomenon, or is that just something totally different? Or
I was
maybe like a creepypasta thing, or maybe they're demons or what have you.
No, I was told that there were the hybrids that were being created, that they were being made by something that could control them here on this earth, but also that could live upon the surface, essentially as a takeover of a sort. So those are what those things are.
Man, that
Yeah.
scared me.
So
And
yeah,
they
it's
always you never, 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 never look them in the eye, and never, never let them in the door anywhere. And I
right.
was like, why would I ever do that?
Well, and you got to wonder about that too. What's that permission granting? I was told that even when it comes to like the aliens, the shadow people, all these different things, there is a sort of permission granting that's needed. And it's like, well, I would never allow such a thing to come in my life. I'm like, I know, but who said they were playing fair? You
Yeah,
could have had a dream that somebody was knocking at your window and you lifted the window. And oh, are you guys there? Are you guys there? Hello? Hello, hello. Are you guys?
I'm here, Heidi.
Can you hear me?
I got you, Heidi. We're
Okay.
here. We're here.
Okay.
Uh,
Yeah, I was just saying that they cheat to get your permission. You might see your sister, you think it's your sister, knocking at the window, and you raise the window. Well, that was a permission granting, but you're like, hold on, I thought it was my sister. I'm like, yeah, but they don't care.
exactly.
Uh,
It's a scary world, but an exciting world that we live in. You know, Heidi.
yes, truly. And I hope people take heed of the warnings of people who take the time to share their experiences, because it's not, there are very few people in this field who make a living doing it. We all keep
Hmm.
our day jobs for the most part, and we do this because we're trying to help others not suffer the way that we once did, or
Hmm.
try to prevent other problems to happen. And there might be some like myself that remember they came here to be doing this work too. So I've given thousands of my books away over the years, and most of my time is volunteer and and I'm a one woman show on this stuff. I haven't had a whole lot of backup. Family doesn't quite get it. Nobody quite gets it unless they are dishing out a joke.
Hmm.
So it's like you do this, and I have a big sense of humor on these things. I mean, if anything, I've been uh, kind of given static about it. It's like I have too much fun talking about this stuff. So it's like, and it's not about fun. I have my sense of humor is about anything in life. It's like
Hmm.
that's just who I am. But I also know that having joy really irritates evil, so I'm gonna have as much joy as I possibly can dish out.
Absolutely. Um, it's a it's awesome to try to break down the barriers of ridicule on these other, how people have been ridiculed, and to get the truth out about this.
Yes.
And it's hard when there's damage has been done to people that have been ridiculed, and I think that's a big shame.
Yeah.
And I think
Truly.
that's awesome of you to help these people, Heidi, and the way that you look at this stuff is just amazing. Like the sleep paralysis thing, man, I keep going back to that because that just really opened up my mind to how they trick us.
Yeah.
That's part of the trick. That's part of their deception.
Yes. And don't think some of these people are not on the payroll of the government. Oh boy.
Oh yes.
There are so I've run into some doozies that you would never think, and a lot of them do not use their real names. And I get it. Sometimes it's to protect family, but it's I've used my full name. This is me. I'm not.
Yeah.
This is not a pen name. It's like
Right.
so. I just I guess people do what they have to do to survive, but I don't like when they're doing it to cause harm and to receive money and payment.
Yeah.
You know,
That's
and
That's
It's
not what we're about. We just want to help people overcome the ridicule and let them know that we
yeah,
are here for them, and they've got a story to tell that needs to get out. We believe that
yeah,
it's like a great big puzzle, and everybody has a piece of the puzzle. And
yes.
once we put that puzzle together, the genie will be out of the bottle and not be able to be put back.
Believe it or not, that's something I say often too. It's like we all got our pieces. Let's throw it in there because how else are
Yes,
we gonna figure this out? I mean, we have got to open up already and start sharing our data, and we should be further along than we have been. But no, it was a matter of national security if you say you saw a UFO. So they're not going to tell us for decades that they have all this data on UFOs and call them UAPs now. No, thank you, buddy. We don't need your help to say UAP. We know it's a freaking UFO. I'm just so irritated with that government, UAP crap. I'm like, no, buddy. We're gonna stick with the
Well,
UFO because they're trying to dampen and change it into being something else with a play on words again with that UAP crap. And I get it. Some people like it. I'll say it, but I'm kind of anti UAP.
I am right there with you, Heidi, on the UAP. I think it is the stupidest thing I've ever heard, and it'll
Yeah,
always be UFO to
yeah,
me. Yeah, it's
yeah.
like
Thank God we kept that fire burning on UFOs, so they finally cracked the door and try to call it something else. No, and how was that a matter of national security? I know people who lost their families over this. Who went crazy or some killed themselves. Divorced, and they played with people's lives, saying this is a matter of national security. You're full of it. You guys did stuff. You took technology, you hoarded the information, and I believe that there are many people living on a different level of technology way beyond what we are even aware of. We're still blasting rockets under our butts to get through the atmosphere. Give me a break. They're able to jump ship, go where
absolutely.
they want, but they're going to have us believe we could be an astronaut. Yeah, right. You're so full of it.
I think what we're seeing right now is that we've reached a point in history where a robot or AI can do everything and anything that a human can do, and they don't need us anymore. And I
Yeah.
think that's part of it. They're trying to phase us out.
Yeah, I think there's something to that. What is that? Transhumanism and all that stuff. They're
Neuralink.
Neuralink. Oh yeah, they're trying to rewire us. That's for sure. And something to look into is called synesthesia. That we're able to rewire ourselves. We are evolving. We are incredible, and we're able to sense and see things. And also, there's some of us that have. I have synesthesia where I'm considered a machine empath. I could feel objects. I could. It's odd to say, but machines to have them do certain things as well. And it's like, but hold on. I don't think everybody's what they appear to be. Like I've found myself. I knew that I had different things, but I think there's others that have these strange anomalies as well. I think that the movies M. Night Shyamalan put out, what was it, Mr. Glass, Unbreakable, and Split, are very telling about what we're able to do in this lifetime. We're shifting,
Yes,
evolving.
I think there's a great awakening happening too. I've heard people coin the phrase and term
Hmm.
great awakening, but I think that a lot of truth is starting to come out and be revealed that hasn't been revealed
Right.
before, and
Indeed.
we're getting to the point where some of us have been searching for the truth and seeing the truth for so long that we can see right through
uh-huh.
the stuff that they're trying to pull on us.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's disheartening. And people, the people that are pulling these strings, they really think they're going to get away with it all. And they have been pretty good so far. But, everything comes out in the wash, right?
Yes, yes,
so,
yes, ma'am.
so I'm looking forward to some of this shakedown. And they're trying to control the apocalypse. They really are.
Hmm.
They're trying to control it. But I'm sorry, God's a little bit more
Yeah.
mightier than the power of,
Uh,
greedy
yeah.
humans.
Heidi, do you know about the
Uh,
food supply being attacked and the uh, all the businesses that's been burnt down and
uh,
destroyed like
Where's
the natural food, like organic farms have been burnt, and one of the largest organic producing farms, I think it was in California or somewhere, it was burnt down. There's been chickens. They've been destroying chickens. They've been destroyed like 5.3 million chickens up in Iowa. There was a farm here in Indiana by where we live at that. They destroyed, like, somebody caught the farm on fire, and it caught all the hogs in the barn, and it killed like thousands of them.
Oh, wow. I bet none of those were owned by Bill Gates, huh?
None of them.
None of them owned by him. He's got, I didn't know he owned the most land mass in this country. He's just buying up all the land.
It's all by design too.
Yeah, I don't think it's a coincidence. Not with him.
Well, guys, I hate to rush off of here, but I need to get out of here and get to putting some siding on the house, guys.
Oh.
And it's been awesome, Heidi.
Yeah,
Thank
same
you so
here.
much
And
for
again,
showing up.
yeah.
Always a great chat, and we love this kind of stuff, and I can tell you do too. Thank you for coming.
Yes. Yes,
Absolutely.
And, both of you guys and whoever is listening, if they want to be a guest on my show, or if they want to email their info, whatever it is they've experienced out of the ordinary, go to HeidiHolis.com or shadowfolks.com and tell me what's going on. And don't forget to check out my show, Dark Becomes Light, on just go to iHeartRadio.com and type in Coast to Coast AM, and my show will come up under there. They have 4 different apps there for our different shows. So, to listen
and
to.
then I post this show in my groups as well, so everyone will get that. And
Nice.
hopefully, hey, maybe one day we can come on your show and talk about the things we went through.
Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly the invitation I just gave. So yes, you are more than welcome to come on the show and chat about what you've experienced. I'd love it.
You're awesome, Heidi. We really appreciate you coming on here and giving us some of your time.
It's been a blessing, it's been a blessing to guest one after another. It's been awesome.
Oh, I thank you guys for inviting me. This was great. I hope you guys stay safe out there, because
You too.
they're spreading the COVID again. That's going to be another thing destroying everybody.
Hey, Heidi, make sure you stock up on food, because the prices, they're high now, but they're going to be even higher with what I was telling you about the
Yeah.
They already are.
them destroying. They're destroying a lot of stuff, and they're not telling it on the news.
Wow.
So-
That's really that's scary. I'll definitely keep an eye out. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Focus on protein.
Yeah, right. That's hard to find, I'm sure.
Well, everybody, it's been a great show, and I'm going to play our outro music, and we'll catch you on the next show, everybody. You have a great day, Heidi. Thank you very much for coming on.
God bless.
Adios. God bless you, too.
Thanks.
Bye.